We're going to go on with the show. We start with our first segment, What's on Our Mind? Little Z, Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Folks, what's on my mind is since we got Smoking Jim Frazier back for the first time in 2014 in Bethel Park, I just want to remind him that me and Bruce Arians have something in common. We're both going to be working on our golf game for the rest of the offseason. The genius is not in the playoffs, as predicted by me, now that I have Smoking Jim Frazier back. And Ken Wisenhunt, the real genius, just got the head coaching job in the Tennessee Titans. And I want to give a shout-out to the Wiz, the reason why we got our Super Bowl in Detroit, and not because of the genius that Smoking Jim Frazier said to my right. And that's what's on my mind tonight, folks. The real genius is Ken Wisenhunt, not Bruce Arians.
Well, thanks, Little Z. And you kept it only on one subject here. It's a new record for 2014. Appreciate it. Smoking Jim Frazier, welcome back. I'm glad you're back from your hiatus in the hospital on that other championship show. I heard rave reviews about that show, my friend. A couple people that I know watched the show, and they're just amazed with you. So what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
I'm not going to throw
you got to see Levine. But first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to my very, very, very dear friend, Robin Clark. Minister Robin Clark, we had dinner last week, and we actually had dinner here in Bethel Park at Level 20.
No way.
I want to give a shout out to the owner out there, Colin. He said to tell everybody hi. He still watches the show, and I may even get out there on June 24th. They have a comedy show that night. I'm thinking about driving out there.
I was invited too,
buddy. Don't hold
me
to it. Don't hold me to it.
You can pick me up on your way there.
Is that June or January 24th?
January.
There's a lot of time for something to happen there.
There you go.
But what's on my mind is Coach Tomlin. And, me and Coach Tomlin, over the years, we had a lot of, I consider him a friend. But we've had some disagreements over the years. But this is the first time I'm actually disappointed in Coach Tomlin because he fired at the end of the season first-year offensive line coach Jack Bignell Jr. And I thought that was a shame. I thought that a guy, first of all, the background for Jack Bignell is pretty good. He's offensive line coach for New York Giants when they went to the Super Bowl. Two, it's hard. I know that Jack probably wasn't Coach Tomlin's first choice, but the problem you have hiring offensive line coaches is most of them don't want to work with Todd Haley. So Jack was one who worked under Todd Haley at Kansas City. When Todd got fired and Romeo Crennel was promoted, Jack stayed on that staff, and they had the number 5 rushing team in the whole NFL. And when Romeo Crennel got fired, of course, Jack was able to come here because he was willing to put up with Todd Haley, one of the few guys. But if you look at that offensive line, first of all, at the center position, I thought the offensive line coach really should have been up for Assistant Coach of the Year because the offensive line, Marquise Pouncey went down first game. And Fernando Vasco came in, and he played almost Pro Bowl level. But I was so impressed with the third-string guy, Cody Wallace, who came in. And I tell you what, he played at an NFL level. Jack Bignell had no decision in the drafting of bums like Mike Adams and Marcus Gilbert. So you can't blame him there. But the job that he did with Kelvin Beachum at left tackle was second to none. So, again, Coach Tomlin made a decision. I thought it was a poor decision, and I was very disappointed in how he handled that at the end of the year. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Very insightful.
We'll have to revisit that.
Hold on, wait. Let me check the segments that we have. Oh, yeah. We have Revisit right after we all.
I got your segments, Al. I got the facts.
Oh, man. I didn't send an email. Thanks, Nate.
I said facts.
You're welcome. Chip, the Prophet Hainer, what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Alan. And being that we've got the conference championship games coming up this weekend, I think I'm going to stay on a football-themed what's on my mind. But what's on my mind right now is not so much particular teams or anything like that. It's pretty much the state of the game. And once again, I have to be very critical of Roger Goodell. And this afternoon, a judgment came down against the NFL that vacated the judgment for the players, the $703 billion that the players were going to get, because once they looked into the nuts and bolts of this agreement, they found out that there's not going to be nearly enough money to pay the players that are due the money that's coming to them. So, you know, Roger Goodell kind of railroaded this through, trying to hornswoggle the athletes, and the athletes really didn't study this, which is no large surprise there. They never studied in college. They study now that they're pros. But, you know, the only thing they do study is game film. But I think the NFL's in for some trouble, because I think, you know, any attorney worth his salt is going to be very leery of any kind of offer that the NFL comes, and I think they're going to end up getting smacked for a whole lot more than the $703 billion that they originally, you know, offered to pay. And, you know, that's going to create bigger problems for the NFL, and you know, that just goes along with the problems with the refereeing, and you know, we have dropping attendance. Playoff games tickets are, you know, they're having to have corporate America bail out teams so the playoff games don't get blacked out. When was the last time this happened? And I think there's going to be some tough times coming, and the NFL is going to take a few black eyes. And, you know, but that's what's on my mind right now.
Thanks, Chip. We'll have to revisit some of that, too, because I'm a little fired up about that $700 million, because it definitely won't cover what they tried to sue, and there are lawyers involved in this.
Well, you know,
so what happened there? But we'll come back to revisit.
We'll revisit. Yes, we absolutely will revisit.
Yeah. Is it? When does that come up? Because, oh, okay. What's on my mind is, first, I got to do a public announcement. Christopher Nix, one of our famous artists here, Zach Brenner's wearing one of his pieces of art there, right on his shirt. Check him out. He's fantastic. Now, the other public announcement, we had Todd Murphy, our local Bethel Park resident who's a friend. They're doing a fundraiser here to help Stage Right and also the Boys and Girls Club. And they have some great players coming on Saturday. That'll be January 18th. That's this Saturday. You have to check the times. You got to go online, pensshow.com, to get your tickets. They're going to be autographing all kind of things. They got, let's see, Adams is going to be there. Anglin's going to be there. Neal. And guess what? Malkin's even going to be there. Bortuzzo, Vitale. And the old 2-9er, Phil Bork's going to be there. And if you watch our show on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook or YouTube, you'll actually hear the 2-9er talking about this event.
That's hockey, Smoking Jim.
They put over 100, well, 2-2's his favorite, you know, number. So.
Well, I'm just
2-2.
I'm just letting him.
Just so you know. We're not done revisiting. Wait, you can come back and revisit the 2-2. All right? But we're talking about this great event here. Get your tickets. It does help some great causes here. And it's a 3-day event, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So check that out. And then another public announcement, Mariana DeZazu said, you can come out and visit Zach anytime. She likes your comments about Azazu there all the time, and it's on Tuesday, and I was there today on Tuesday. She said hi to all you guys on the show. Chip needs a haircut. I think Marianne's already going home now, so it's a little late there, but she'd like to cut everybody's hair on Pittsburgh Sportsline. She said she'd even come out to the studio sometime, so maybe we can do a special event there.
Thank you, Marianne.
Does she shave too? I need a shave.
I don't know. The way you are, there's a lot of other women there. They'll shampoo your hair. They'll give you a shave. That's enough of that announcement.
That's messed up, man.
This is going downhill.
The two of us over here on the left have the least combined amount of hair compared to our co-host to the right.
Well, that's why we're the hair team. And
But if she wants to trim a beard,
okay. Well, we digress on this. Now back to some sports. We had Pittsburgh Sports Nation. One of our Big Mike D was missing in action for about 6 months.
who?
Mr. Draculich.
Oh,
You remember
Big Mike
him.
D.
Yeah, Big Mike D.
Okay.
And he made a prediction about Pitt basketball. And I said I'd give them the courtesy to put it out to give them some publicity because I like Pitt. Now they're number 21 or 22, whatever poll you check at. They've been playing some nice basketball, and they did arrive in the ACC, and they're undefeated. So to me, for all the naysayers so far who didn't think they could win a game, let's go Pitt. And he predicted 17-1 is his prediction.
That's the Atlantic Coast Conference, too.
Just so you know. Didn't they win the football championship? Oh, okay. That's what's on my mind. And now we're going to go back to that segment we've all been talking about. We'll serve it up to Little Z since he recalled that there's revisit what's on your mind.
That segment's right now? Okay.
Hold it. Yeah.
Well, I just want to go back to this offensive line coach being fired. And from what I hear inside the organization, that the last couple months of the season, he was basically relegated to not really doing much coaching at all when it came to the offensive line. So from what I hear down on the south side, he was getting fired anyways, regardless. He wasn't even really doing the coaching down there on the offensive line. That's how much
you can't just tease us. What happened?
They had lost faith in him.
Why?
That's Smoking Jim's
Well,
buddy,
you
Coach
know, I
Tomlin.
think part of the problem with Jack Bicknell, and I think he's an excellent coach, and his system does work well. But, you know, I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to jam a square peg into a round hole because you need certain types of athletes to be able to run the kind of offensive blocking scheme that he wanted to run. And, you know, you got people like Mike Adams and, Marquise Gilbert, and they aren't the kind of people that are going to excel in that, you know. So I think he wasn't given the right tools to make his system work. And then, you know, obviously his system was built around Marquise Pouncey being the all-pro center that he has been, and that blew up on the fourth play of the season this year.
Well, did anybody ever see Le'Veon Bell the last 8 games of the season? I mean, he was the best running back in
watched
football.
it more than 8 games, buddy.
Over the last 8 games of the season. I think that anybody that can coach. See, the one thing about Bicknell is that his dad was a very accomplished coach. So he grew up in a football family.
He was a head coach at Boston College?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
BC.
And
He also coached in the USFL, did he not?
he sure did.
Okay.
He sure did. And so, this guy can make an adjustment, and they knew that when they hired him initially. You know, they hired him for zone blocking or whatever, you know, but I think they adjusted pretty nice as the season went on. And like we talked about before, that soft Mike Adams and Marcus Gilbert, they wouldn't excel in anybody's system, and that had nothing to do.
Are they still soft?
They are still soft.
Okay.
They are still fat. They still out of shape. They still ain't working out, and they still are NFL busts. And on top of that is that Jack had nothing to do with that. This was his first year here. But the job that he did with the walk-on, Kelvin Beachum, should have gotten him an opportunity to come back. The job that he did with, don't forget now, Fernando, there's 32 other teams that didn't think Fernando could play in the league. He was sitting at home when the Steelers gave him a call. Cody Wallace looked like he could walk into the Pro Bowl and hold his own. He's a little cheap, and I like that. He got a little Conrad Dobler in him.
Oh,
but
yeah.
to fire a guy, you know, when you've taken him from another situation and brought him here, and you fired him, and he wasn't even hired until January 29th of last year, so it wasn't even a whole year. I think that looks like you don't have a lot of stability in your organization when you do stuff like that.
Like I said, folks, do the research, look into it. My little birdie down in the south side said that this was inevitable. This was coming for a while. It just didn't mesh. It just didn't move for whatever reasons. I mean, not all brothers can get along. I mean, it's just...
And there you have it, folks. Now getting back to the NFL and their suit.
Yeah.
That, to me, it was negotiated by 2 parties, but somebody didn't read the details. Because even when that was coming out, they were tearing that down, and they said, if you try to predict what's going to happen, there won't be money for anybody else, let alone the people that are already suffering the disease.
And they said that there were certain players that could get up to $5 million. Well, the only way that you could get up to $5 million is if you ended up with ALS, diagnosed, which, Lou Gehrig's disease,
right,
which is 100% fatal. But you know, I mean, how many of these guys with the problems with CTE? How many of them have been diagnosed with ALS? The only person I can think of is that gentleman that played for the Saints, Steve Gleason. He's the only one that I can recall, and I don't think that was football related. That was probably genetically related. So basically,
I don't think they're entitled to a dime. You got what you got for working for your job, for putting on your entertainment, for putting on your body, and you're not entitled for a dime. You knew the risk was inherent. What does the coal miner get, when the mill explodes and you die in there? You knew the risk.
But Zach,
you knew the danger.
Zach, think about this for a minute.
Our army, our military people that give us the freedom to do what we do in this country are not even paid anywhere near what these gentlemen are paid. And it's not anybody's fault that some of these guys played back in the day when the money wasn't, it was still good. It was still good money. They weren't playing for peanuts. They were playing for good money even in the 60s compared to the times.
Zach,
and what money, the value of a dollar.
The reason why the NFL was in such a hurry to settle for, let's not forget about $750 million, because if this would have gone into court, they would have ultimately ended up, they could have paid triple that. Okay, so they do have some complicity to it, and once you get it into a court of law, the truth has very little to do with it. It depends on how good your legal team is, and ultimately the NFL was going to get into suits that was going to cost them more money than it would have to settle.
At the end of the day, Chip, when you're done with your career and you sacrificed your body, they're not going to give you any extra money. You got what you got. So when your joints are gone and your knees are gone, they're not. There's no coming back and getting extra money from the company.
And I can't afford the attorneys that could get me some.
Well, as long as you have people making 10, 15, 20 million a year, even a couple million a year, you're going to have lawsuits. I come up with the solution last night. If you listened, I know you did. You sign a waiver.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to play, the emperor here will tell you, their piece of meat will come up to play. There's no doubt. You see it all the time. Sign the waiver. Think about that for a minute.
I'm just saying, in retrospect to
that
what
solves a lot
the
of
main,
it. End of argument.
The main workers in this country that generate the most
you're getting
revenue,
me all fired
they
up.
don't
We're not
get
going to
paid
talk
anywhere
about
near
unions either.
what our pro athletes
so,
get paid. So, and they could definitely afford the health insurance. They could afford the top of the line health insurance.
You know what? We can
There's
debate
horses,
this.
They don't get back as fast as some of these pro athletes get back in top form from blowing out their knees.
But I mean, the point's kind of moot because at this point they already agreed to a settlement, and I think that this is just going to drag on, and it's going to get way more expensive.
Do you think the players of today should pay for the players of yesterday, the ones that didn't even have helmets?
Doesn't matter what I think, because apparently they've got judgments. We're all entitled to our opinions.
Yeah.
Well, you made a good point, Chip. Let me ask you this: you said they agreed to a settlement, but the female judge is looking into it, so it's going to be more?
Because she's
not
enough. She's going to say it's not enough. Which puts the NFL in a bad position because they've already agreed that, okay, you know what, maybe we weren't completely forthcoming with these players and about the dangers that they were faced. So here, we're offering. So now they've already kind of admitted that they are kind of responsible. So now it's just a matter of, okay, you can't go back and say, well, no, now we didn't, now we're not.
Well, I say we go back and we give gladiators in the Coliseum and we award them money for debts that they...
Call in 412-831-3304 because that's not going to happen. The Roman Empire is dead and gone, and the people are around for it. Yeah, but they didn't have a choice.
Knew the risk.
Gladiators didn't have a choice. You haven't watched enough movies. But here's the precedent that's set. If you look at all these Wall Street firms, when they get sued, like they break the law. I don't know if you guys realize, like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they pay $1 billion like it's nothing. And do you know what happens? They're not guilty of anything, but they pay it. Now, why do they pay it? Same reason the NFL is going to pay this, because they have a brand that they want to protect. They want to go to Europe. They want to have this brand, and they're losing TV share. They're making rules when you go in stadiums. People don't want to go there. They want to watch it on TV because it's a better game. So that's why they're going to do it, just like the Wall Street firms. Just do a little research here. My team on that left there. You'll see that.
The reason why nobody wanted to watch the games was because they pretty much knew what was going to happen. The Colts.
You predicted them all. All right, we'll move forward. We got any more revisitation? Because we'll debate all day. You still debating?
I do disagree with 98% of the country when they say that football's down. Football's never been greater. What it is HD TV and stuff. People would rather watch the game. Unlike hockey, and you guys, we've all been to hockey games. There's nothing like there's nothing like a hockey game
Johnstown
in person.
Chiefs.
Because the game doesn't translate into television like basketball and football. Football is such a great game to watch on TV, all the commentary, HD TV, the whole bit. And now what's happening is that even the people that can afford season tickets, I've been a season ticket holder since I was 4, but
And you just missed your first game.
First game ever.
Jeez.
But the playoff time, your season tickets does not qualify you for the playoffs. You have to say, all right, I want to do the playoffs, and the playoff tickets are much more expensive. Well, you have the opportunity, but it's not the same price. The ticket prices for each level of the playoffs goes up. Through the roof, just like the Super Bowl does. So a lot of people say, they can't afford the playoff tickets, so that's why it's open. And another reason is a lot of people don't want to sit out in the cold. A lot of people rather sit at home
and also
and enjoy
to speak to your point, and this is something that, taking your family to a football game. A football game is not a family-friendly environment. When you go down to the Pirate games or baseball games, any baseball, you go and see families. You see mom and dad and the children. But most football games, there's a lot of extracurricular activity going on in the parking lots. There's a lot of drunken people there, and there's a lot of things going on that you really want to expose your family to. So people are staying home with the family, watching in a safe environment where they can control what their children are exposed to.
And another thing that you can't see at a hockey and a baseball game that you can see at a football game is at those other sports you can't see the #1 sport in the world, which is football.
I agree. Before we end this up, and before we wrap this up on this segment, revisitation that we're on, I want to agree with Smoking Jim Frazier and say that I feel the NFL, the strength of the game has never been stronger. And sometimes you just can't insult people, though. People know that the Pittsburgh Steelers were one of the hottest teams ending the season. We should have got in there. If we would have got in there, we would have did more damage than the San Diego Chargers. That's for sure. But, Philip Rivers did put on a good show, though, against Peyton Manning and did better than a lot of people thought he was going to do.
Well, they're thinking about raising it to 16 teams for the playoffs. The Steelers may get in.
The stadium was full in Denver. The stadium was full in Foxborough. And what happened out in Green Bay? The weather definitely played a factor, though. Them conditions were brutal.
As much as the Steelers...
It ended up being full.
As much as we felt the Steelers belonged in the playoffs, the reason the Steelers weren't in the playoffs was nobody's fault but their own.
And we'll cover that under our NFL segment later on if you want to go there without a revisitation.
I'd like to talk on steroids, too.
Would you? Let me see. We'll try to put that in there a little. What, that you're on them or you're not? Okay, we'll cover that later. Okay, hold up. We're going to go. Is he starting to point? Okay, we're going to go to our Sips Sports Bar segment. Sunday night, Smoking Jim's been there. I don't know. Is it still trivia night up there, Smoking Jim?
It sure is.
And I always get a report from Dan, the man who makes the best coffee in Dormont, if not the country, for Smoking Jim Frazier. So go there on Sunday nights for trivia night. Plus they have food specials, drink specials, happy hour.
The
Monday
best
night.
meatball hoagie.
Hold it. That's on Monday. No, it wasn't this past Monday night. It was 2 weeks ago that we had the best meatball hoagie ever. Smoking Jim missed it, I think. No. He did miss it. But that's every Monday night. Come on up there. We got a lot of great folks that come up there. The guests are coming out all over the place. You can see they're even putting it on Facebook that they're coming to our show. We got guests coming out there, so we appreciate the interest. Tuesday night, shout out to Don Campiti and his wife, loyal fans of our show, and the 50 cents a slice pizza. How can you go wrong with that? Plus happy hour, free parking, all kind of other things and other food specials. Wednesday night, I know this is like Smoking Jim's show and his bar, but it's true. Ladies' night with Smoking Jim Frazier. And he's known to bring his best friends there from what I've been told. I haven't been there.
Every night.
And Thursday night, you guys haven't been there. Smoking Jim and I have been there. Z, weren't you there once on a Thursday? Or no, that was another event. but it's 25-cent wing night up there. You have to come up there. I thought you were eating them last night. I got choked up with the free wings.
They got me. Them gladiators of the kids. They got me not eating fried foods right now. So
Oh,
I
good.
got some pretzels right here.
Oh, good. And then Friday night, they have karaoke and entertainment on Saturday night. So check out Sip Sports Bar. Don't forget to like them. Come on up on Monday night. Maybe we even get to see some exciting interviews with some of Smoking Jim's models up there. His modeling agency's growing by the day, I'm telling you. It's amazing.
2 clients.
Now we go to one of my favorite parts. This is going to be the first time that we're going to hear this segment in 2014. Are you ready, Smoking Jim? Fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, 2014.
Got some fiction and facts, and I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking machine, I'm going back to April 26th.
What year?
2012. And we have some evidence of it here. I sent out a blast during the draft. When I came into the Steelers, asked me that year. It was the second going into the third year for Antonio Brown, and Steelers did not want him returning punts and kickoffs. So the Steelers asked me to
It's in writing, Z.
select. They asked me that they wanted me to select a guy who would be able to return kickoffs and punts for them. And I said the best guy I've seen since Deion Sanders to do it was a guy from Florida International. Of course, they never heard of him. I said not only would he be the best punt and kickoff returner in the league, but by mid-season, he would be your starting wide receiver. And the Steelers went against me and drafted a bum, a wife-beating, girlfriend-beating bum named Chris Rainey that did not only couldn't he return punts and kickoffs, but he couldn't even knock his girlfriend out with his best right hand. But that guy who I suggested the Steelers draft was not only T.Y. Hilton. The Hilton Hotel is always open. In the second year, he's developing into one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. And I'm telling you, Indianapolis, you're using the man wrong, because if you used him on punt and kickoff returns, I tell you what, you might have gotten to the Super Bowl this year. That's how good he is. So that's my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. I do remember those days back in April of 2012. We were quite shocked by that. So were the Steelers, too. All right.
They know who he is now.
Yes, they do. My other favorite special segment of the night is Chips Trivia Time.
Well, thank you, Alan. And, to speak to Jim's point, I think T.Y. Hilton would have been used on returns had Reggie Wayne not gone down with a season-ending injury. Okay? So, that's why he got put up into the number one receiver. But the first thing I'd like to do with my trivia segment this evening is acknowledge the three gentlemen that got elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame that I was talking about last Tuesday night. They got elected on Wednesday. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas. So congratulations to them. But, being that we're getting up onto the conference championships and, the Super Bowl's coming up at the end of the month, I thought I'd throw some NFL trivia at you, this week real quickly. There is one player in Super Bowl history. He was the first defensive player to be elected Super Bowl MVP. He played for a losing team. Anybody know who he is?
For the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Chuck Howley for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, sir.
What year was that?
71.
I may have been. Let me see. It was one of the years. Didn't the Dolphins beat them that year?
Dolphins.
The Dolphins. One of the years that the Dolphins beat. I think it may have been 72 or 73. I wasn't even born yet. You don't remember watching that one, Zach? Okay, you were peeking out the belly button watching that one. Okay. Now here's an interesting piece of trivia. The NFL coach with the best regular season winning percentage for his career, and I'll give you a hint. Video games named after him.
Madden.
John Madden. That is correct. Highest regular season winning percentage in NFL history.
Wow, with the Raiders.
The quarterback that holds the the record for the highest single season completion percentage. Drew Brees, he did that in 2011, 71.8%. He completed 7 out of 10 passes that he threw all year. That's
amazing.
Quite an amazing statistic.
Was any of them in Seattle?
No.
This one,
Not that
Smoking
day.
Jim will like, is the only running back in NFL history to run the ball over 3,000 times and average 5 yards per carry over
Jim
his
Brown?
career. No, sir.
Oh, he
Smith.
didn't get 3.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders, yeah. That's right, because Jim Brown didn't have that many years.
Okay, Joe Namath was the first professional quarterback to pass for 4,000 yards, and he did that back in 1967. And he passed for 4,007 yards in the old AFL. He did that in a 14-game season. Who was the first quarterback to pass for 5,000?
Got to be Dan
Marino.
Marino.
Correct. Dan Marino was the first person to pass for 5,000 yards in a single season. Next
Two
week-
Western Pennsylvania guys, right, Chip?
Yes, sir.
What year?
Joe Namath, Beaver Falls. Danny Marino, Central Catholic Zone. I know, Jim. Okay,
No
now,
gateway.
What year?
here's another. I'll wrap it up on this. Bill Walsh, and everybody's familiar who Bill Walsh
The
is.
genius.
He was the architect
A real
of the
genius.
San
West Coast.
Francisco 49ers championship reign in the 1980s. Well, Bill Walsh is credited with shaping 3 of the game's greatest quarterbacks. Do you know who they are?
Ken
Steve
Anderson.
Young.
Ken Anderson.
Joe
Montana
Montana.
and Young.
Ken Anderson, Dan Fouts, and Joe Montana.
Damn,
Damn,
Fouts, I
Fouts.
missed that. Yeah. That's
I
right.
thought Eric
George
Coryell
Seifert.
did that.
It was George Seifert with Young, Steve Young.
No, Young, it was
No, it was after the fact.
That was after
He
the
was
fact.
given it, yeah.
And just
already-
just on an odd one,
That year.
this record has been broken, and I think it's been broken by our very own Ben Roethlisberger.
What record?
Yes, sir.
The quarterback that was sacked the most times in NFL history, John Elway, was sacked 516 times between 1983 and 1998.
That's a
And I
lot
think
of
Ben's
sacks.
already passed him.
And Elway doesn't look any worse for the wear either.
No, he doesn't.
Well, you don't know. His wife left him early.
He
so
might have
you
been
don't-
on juice.
You don't know you don't know. He may
might have been on that rock. He might be juice.
He may be a little slow.
Maybe he retired from dating. All right? Smoking Jim. I've
Can
heard
we
that.
all agree? Can we all agree though that the percentage of high school athletes and when you're a kid, like you want to be a fireman, you want to be a pro athlete, but you could take all the juice you want to. That's not going to guarantee that you're going to be one of the greatest athletes in professional sports history. It's not
No,
going
it just makes you bigger and stronger, which helps.
to.
And quicker, and your hand-eye coordination's a little better.
But generally, what
Yeah.
it does is
And when
it
you
shortens
turn
their
that
careers.
screw, when you
And-
ripping them pipes out,
And you know, and little Z, you know that you're not going to live past your mid-50s. So you better watch the juice that you're using on the pipes. We'll have to cover that in another segment. Juice in the pipes. All right, one of the things I wanted to bring up is we were at KSWA Wrestling.
Yes, sir.
And we had a fantastic time. If you ever can go to Lawrenceville, the Moose Club there, it's just fantastic.
I'm a member.
I know. I'm still waiting for mine. I don't know. I signed up 4 forms to get that. I gave 8 different ages so he can fill it out so I can do it. Social Security and everything. I didn't get my membership yet, but it's in the mail, I've heard. But it was just a great event. The things that I saw there, I never could even imagine you'd see that at wrestling, let alone the crowd that kept coming in. They packed over 300 plus people. They had an open bar there. It was like an old time boxing match because people were smoking, drinking,
And
yelling,
you know what? There was
screaming.
there was action that was enjoyable
Non-stop.
in the ring, and there was action outside of the ring. It was almost as much fun as watching the people in the crowd as it was watching the wrestlers
I'm
in
gonna
the
spend
ring.
my anniversary with you. At
There
the,
you go.
What anniversary? What anniversary?
Well, Smoking Jim's like the third wheel.
February
Like,
22nd, they'll be back at the Lawrenceville Moose,
Yeah.
the KSWA.
Well, like we talked about it last night, the fun that people had. There were some scary wrestlers. There were some wrestlers that we didn't even think they could be wrestlers, and they were in the ring. Little Z almost got in trouble. He grabbed a Louisville Slugger because he said it looked similar to his Louisville Slugger, and he got a look, and they took it back off of him. Trapper Tom is one of the greatest reporters, journalists that I've ever met. I
And
showed
ring
last
announcer
night.
extraordinaire.
not only is he good on a computer, but he kept track of who was coming in, who was going. And what was the battle royale at the end or whatever?
20 guys.
Battle Bowl.
Over the
6.
top rope battle royale.
Battle Bowl. I was
6.
doing 6. Some were doing 6. It was just unreal that not only they have 25 wrestlers come in, and some of them looked familiar to me. I don't know, early and late, guys got thrown out of the ring because you get thrown over the ring and through
Over
it.
the top rope,
Yeah,
and
which-
feet have to hit the floor.
So now I learned the rules, and some of them hit their head first, so they come back in. So it was just great action. And one of the nicer things, I don't know if Tom was behind any of this, but the seats that Zach and I had, and we saved seats for Stephanie and Chip Hayner, we had more bodies falling out of the ring right in front of us.
We were
For the
ringside.
record, they had nothing to do with it. I picked those seats because I'm from the boxing. You know, I always know where the best, the best seats. So me and Al got the,
Yeah.
So give credit where credit is due.
Well, plus, those were the only 2 seats open there because the rest of the people were saving them. Once they saw Zach Brenner, 285 pounds, non-steroids, no peds. They said he's bigger than 80% of the wrestlers in the ring. They thought maybe he was a guy that was going in the ring, and he almost did.
Kind of a little bit. It looked like Zach's juices were flowing. I think he kind of felt the itch to get in there himself,
Wow.
He's getting a little antsy.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to announce it, but MMA looks like it's on his bucket list this year, but it might be wrestling on February 22nd, so stay tuned. That's when KSWA will have their next event.
And for the record, I think the wrestling is going to be a lot easier than the time I'm going to spend in the cage. Just throw that out there.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And then I did want to give a couple shouts out with boxing. And Smoking Jim, you were making acknowledgments to Tyler Curtis and Kissing the Canvas. And
Who we just found out about today.
I'd put it on here too. Kissing the
okay.
Canvas.
Just found out about it today.
Well, I've
Just
been
went
reading.
on the website today.
Right.
And skimmed through it.
Well, I'm a little bit ahead of them.
I've been with you, Tyler. Don't you deny me. I'm tired of supporting you guys. And you guys say, thanks, Jim Frazier. Hey, listen, man. Who's with you in the trenches, man? Who's your security, man? When you come out to these events.
Not anymore. Not anymore. The price of tea just went up for Brenner Contracting. But on a serious note, we wanted to congratulate Rod Salka,
Fighter of the year.
Fighter of the Year.
He sent me a text message earlier today. He said to send a shout out to all you guys here. He's staying strong, getting ready for his next fight, whenever that's going to be. He's a little disenfranchised right now, but
Well, I like some of the.
Rod's a true champion. He'll come back on fighting.
Well, I know he still holds the belt, so he's definitely a champ, and I know we will get a good fight. And as long as it's not in Texas, he's going to win. There's no doubt.
well, Smoking Jim knows though. I mean, Canelo Alvarez, that's one of the biggest, like top 10 biggest names in boxing right now, and it was his older brother that was fighting in Texas, his first fight out of Mexico. You have that kind of money. I mean, what are you judges going to do if Canelo comes over to you and says, "Hey, you guys want to be the judge in my next?"
Hold it. I'm
going
going to do what the referee did.
So
The referee, I don't know if you noticed, the announcers were saying they weren't sure if the referee would acknowledge that Rod was a great boxer or they would announce with the power. What he did is he said it was a draw. So that's what somebody with some character did. He at least said it was a draw.
So we're saying that there's a conspiracy here.
Yeah, we're conspiracy guys,
Wouldn't be the first.
and especially in boxing. I don't know where Don King is, but he would have been proud of that.
We
Definitely.
got to give credit to Alvarez for going
What?
for the first time 2 miles over the border.
No, he's been in Texas
To
for
give
a while.
even more credit, let's
Smoking
even
Jim.
go further.
He's-
Let's go for the call that shook the city when lightning struck Green Tree for the second time. Jim Frazier on the microphone when Jason Bergman delivered that.
Well, that's
that
the
meme.
next thing. The knockout of the year. That was awesome. One of the best calls ever. I was glad I was
You
there.
had to be there.
He was cutting it up. Smoking Jim was cutting it up with Jimmy Savetic and just talking all kind of nonsense there. I had to walk away for a couple minutes because my sides were hurting from laughing. These guys were unbelievable. Then the fight started. And to go against a Buster Douglas guy out of his stable with
12-0.
Definitely. They thought there would
tell
be
you
no
what.
stopping him. When you went in there and you saw the size of this guy, and he towered over Jason. So there was nobody there except us loyal Pittsburgh guys that said, look what's going on.
I know this sounds corny, but the bigger they are.
Well, Jimmy Sabetic said it.
Case because that man couldn't even had to carry him out of there, and drag him back to the locker.
Well, if you watch that,
punch that Jason threw would have stopped a Mack truck.
Yeah.
Well, there were 2 hits. That's what you actually heard because it was more. And he was there, and his daughter was there. That was sad. His wife was there. Get up, honey. So it was really a family affair there. But Jason come out of nowhere with the punch, gave him a left. He paralyzed him.
I don't know how he got up from that shot. You got to give him credit for having the heart to get up from that shot. But Jason could have killed him with that second knockdown.
Well, with the second knockdown, he didn't know where he was. He was looking around. Wow. He kept saying, wow. Then what was odd, and I spotted it, the stool kept moving on him. Because usually there's a breeze in the ring, but the stool was moving. So when you can't get on your stool, you got some trouble.
Wasn't moving. His brains were moving.
I'm sarcastic, everybody. Sorry. When you're in the MMA, I know.
But I think the best thing in the whole fight when I asked Al Levine to talk to Machine, I says, how is Lightning Rod going to beat this? And he was like, a knockout too.
Hey, that's what you needed. And Jason did that in such a short, less than 2 minutes. That's what was also unbelievable there.
And that's the one thing about the heavyweight division. In the lighter weight divisions, you don't always see a knockout. You see a lot more.
There's a few that are powerful like that.
You see a lot more defense and skill involved. But, man, with the heavyweights, man, you blink your eyes, you miss it.
And I'll give my Jason Bergman update. I was at Wolfpack Boxing Club last week. I was there twice. You should have been there. There was supposed to be a sparring session, but he was beating that heavyweight bag that's in the corner there. They have a special position near the wall because when he hits it, it's like earth-shattering. And he wants to take it, but Jeff Mucci won't sell him the bag. Wow. That's how much Jason loves it. That's my inside scoop. I gave you the inside on it. Jason looks in great shape. I mean, he's training right now. He's ready to box. Wait till you see when he comes out for his next fight.
And the one good thing, Pittsburgh, if you're a white heavyweight, you can make a lot of money in this country. Some people call him the Great White Hope, but he's a lot more than that. I think
he's a good man, too.
I think he can be the world champion.
Well, it's about time to take those belts back from the Russians, eh?
Yeah, and I was talking to his trainer. He's getting him in shape, and he's focused there.
We all have dreams. Shout out to Dr. King. I have a dream. Jason Bergman has a dream. We all have dreams. The harder you work, the closer you'll be to achieving those dreams.
Good point.
So, like I said, nobody's ever tried.
Well, here's what I want to say. Since you're on this, I had a...
All natural, too.
We'll have a segment in a few minutes about that. Don't you worry. I just want to know on the Dr. King theme, why can't we all get along then after all these years?
We're going to hear a lot of it in February. That's for sure. Black History Month.
Oh, is that coming? Okay, thanks, Smoking Jim.
Can't wait.
All right, now I said we'd talk about some Penguins here. We haven't talked much about the Penguins. I know Little Z's always telling us we never talk about Penguins. Now's the time to shine. Look at how they were disappointed. We were talking about last night. 5 out of 6 points wasn't enough for the team, and it's how they win. But they're still winning. Fleury's keeping them in the games like he should.
26 wins, leading the league.
And the thing that's amazing about what the Penguins are accomplishing this year, and I don't think there's any team in the league that's had more injuries to more star players than the Penguins have had, and they just keep on winning games. And now they're going through they've gone through a real busy patch the last few weeks where seemed like they were playing a game every other day.
Like it was last season with the short season.
They've got a game tomorrow night against the Capitals. It'll be on national TV. And then they don't have another game until the 20th. And actually what they're going to get a chance to do is something that they haven't been doing because they've been playing so many games, is they're going to actually get a chance to practice and start working on honing their defense and playing a more sound game. Because they can win a shootout, but you know what? Shootout hockey is not the kind of hockey that wins championships.
Not every night, anyhow. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. All right, Zach, what do you think about the Penguins here?
Well, I think the Penguins are going to benefit more than anybody from the break that's going to happen for the Olympics because they only have a few guys that are actually going. Some teams have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players that are going, depending on, from Europe, because they're well represented over there in Europe. You know, they took Russia and divided it into like 10. So there's
Well,
like,
they did split up. I just want you to know that in world history, the USSR is now broken up into Kazakhstan.
it's not the Soviet
all those
Union
things.
anymore.
Well,
No.
there's a
I
smaller
was just watching
version.
Rocky IV last night.
The Soviet Union ceased to
It's
exist in
a smaller
1991.
it's a smaller Russia now. So yeah,
Shucks.
yeah. Drago's not there anymore. So
No.
no, he's dead. Yeah, because he wasn't real. He went with Brazil. They went off together. I did find that out because I was searching the internet for it.
I thought Bridget Nielsen was Flavor Flav.
Yeah, those things happen, but Smoking Jim's Brazil has left him.
No, but I was just wanting to quit Smoking Jim Frazier if he for fiction.
He's
and
right
fact.
next to you. Just
Do you
ask him.
know that the best hockey player in the world plays for the Pittsburgh Penguins? And do you know his name?
You mean Crosby?
Oh, there we go. He got it. We have a winner, folks.
Yay! I thought you was talking about the greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, or
Ooh,
the
no,
greatest,
Yager.
the greatest Penguin of all time,
Mario
Yager.
Lemieux.
Yager.
Oh,
No.
didn't Yager just outscore Lemieux? It only
I
took
argue
about
this
600
all
more
over-
games.
I argue this all over,
See, he's
Eastern
baiting
Divide.
me, and I'm not biting.
yeah, all over the Eastern Divide, and the greatest hockey
not
player
biting, Jim.
is Mario Lemieux, and not Wayne Gretzky.
Well, Wayne Gretzky saved hockey. I mean, he put hockey on the map, and so it's like Jim Brown. No matter what, they're always going to be the greatest for what they did.
Well,
They
and
came
you know,
along first.
we
There's a
talk,
man that respects history.
We talk about records that'll never be broken. You know, we got the 56-game hitting streak, but Wayne
Yeah.
Gretzky's points total for his career, nobody's ever going to touch it. They're not even going to come within
Not in this day and
breath
age
of
at
it.
all. They could be on steroids,
Well, you know,
peds, anything.
if Aroyd doesn't
Who?
have to miss this whole season,
Okay,
he
we'll go
would
to
be on
baseball
pace
right now.
to break the home run record and shatter that record. But since he's going to miss this season, that's probably going to...
So Hank Aaron's record stays intact?
Oh.
That's what I thought.
Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame.
I disagree.
Well, the way the sport is, they didn't outlaw the steroids. They were only
Exactly.
illegal in the country, that's all. And they got them.
And now the Bud Selig wants to do something about it now that he's stepping down and retiring. Why didn't you do something about it 20 years ago? You know, not even let it get to this point. Then there wouldn't be no Aroyd. There wouldn't be no Barry Bonds. There wouldn't be Balco and all these laboratories and these
Bosch.
monkeys and
How
taking...
about Bosch now? Bosch is the man.
Well,
they
you know,
Bud Selig's fault more than anybody.
and I absolutely agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I mean, you know, they were a product. You know, they created the monster, and then the monster became bigger than the game itself, and then they had to reel it back in. And it's unfortunate that it happened, but you know,
Who's the all-time hits leader in baseball?
Pete Rose.
Yeah.
And Pete Rose will never be in the Hall of Fame. But
can't.
who's the all-time hits leader in baseball? Pete Rose.
Right.
So at the end of the
Good
day,
point. Good
who
point.
cares? You know,
Good
Pete
point.
Rose is still going to go down as one of the all-time greatest hitters
Right. He'll
ever
just
in
never
baseball.
be in the Hall of Fame.
He'll just never be in the Hall of Fame.
He knew that when he
But he
signed
still
it.
has the record.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, as far as Barry and company, you know, then they should go back in baseball and put an asterisk next to that home run movement, because that home run movement saved baseball in the 90s. You know, they were with their
Who was that?
strikes.
McGuire, Sosa?
McGuire, Sosa, and Bonds, you know?
Well, Bonds come late to the party. He started getting better after
Better
he saw
late
what they
than
did.
never.
Because he had clear all over. It was clear.
And Ray Lewis
Clear.
magically healed in time last year.
Hey, deer antler underwear is okay. They never caught him wearing it. All right? It
So
healed
it's
him
only
up.
a crime if you get caught. Is that
Exactly.
the message?
That's why they're cheaters. That's why Aroyd thinks he can get away with it. He's been convicted at
Well, I
least
think
3
the message
times.
that you send, and you should have did this
Never
20
failed
years
the
ago.
test, though.
Cheaters never win.
Right, and you know what, you know, and you take it would have and could have and should have, but you know the fact is that they're getting it out of the game, and so, you know somebody's going to be made an example of, and you know, and Alex
Do
Rodriguez has
they
done
still
himself
have
no
players?
favors.
They have players that have served the suspension for getting caught, you know, doping, and come back.
and they
still
got bigger
play in the league.
contracts.
They can still play
Cologne, and they can still play. So to me, it's such a ticky-tacky, slippery
Cabrera
slope.
did.
You know, if you get caught cheating, you know, you should be
Exactly.
out.
If they
You should
wanted
never
to
be back
really-
in.
if they
If
really
you get
wanted
caught
to-
stealing from work, do they let you
I
back
got
in?
I got a
Exactly.
solution
If they
for
wanted
this.
to get it out of the game, you know what they would do? They would make it. The punishments they have for people that are caught are a bunch of crap.
That's a joke.
You know what they want to get out of the game? Ban the guys. Give them a lifetime ban, just like you did for Pete Rose because he gambled, because that was precedent set. If they make the punishment fit the crime as they see it, there wouldn't be.
Did they not ban a man from 1912 who was never
No, 19.
1919?
A bunch of
1900
guys.
Jackson.
Oh, 1919?
Yeah.
Shoeless
Okay.
Joe.
and others. Because they
to
brought
me,
in a
it's just
new
not-
judge. There was
it's
a new
not
sheriff in
consistent
town.
In history, like it's just not consistent. Like they have not.
Here's
policed
what
themselves
happens. I got to
consistently.
give you a little history. It's called the Golden Rule. Not the one you grew up with, but he who has the gold rules.
I like that.
So that's
I like
how they
that.
do it. If you want to end it, I started it last night. We'll put this to every sport. With baseball, let them sign a waiver. You could take whatever you want, and you can play the game. If you can hit a ball, catch a ball, and throw
But
a ball,
how is that
take
fair?
whatever you
How
want.
is that
Because
fair
everybody
to the
can
Hank
do it.
Aarons
It's
of the
not.
game in the world,
It's
and the
not.
Jackie Robinsons and all the
Hold
guys
it.
that legitimately played
Wait,
baseball the
time
hard
out.
way.
Time out on this. I don't want to disrespect any of our baseball players that were our heroes because I thought they were the greatest thing growing up. But then I read a book called Ball 4. And baseball players from the 20s all the way up, guess what they were doing, Zach? They were taking amphetamines. And guess what? That'll improve your performance because it keeps you sharp. Now, some of them got addicted to it and had problems, but they were drinking.
There's been alcoholics. You are a beast. If you could get bombed and then go out there and hit a baseball over the fence.
Here, I'll give you the Wayner brothers
Wait,
from in
you
the
know,
20s and
you
30s.
You
know
think
what I
Babe
think's
Ruth was
even, you know what
straight?
I think's even a bigger travesty of justice? You think about this. Hank Aaron, the Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
He was not a unanimous selection into the Hall of Fame.
9 short.
Ty Cobb, one of the greatest players that ever played the game, was not a unanimous selection into the Hall of Fame.
Racist.
The player that had the highest percentage of votes in the Hall of Fame was Tom Seaver, and he had 98.8%. And what gets me is that how is somebody like any one of these ball players not a unanimous selection into the Hall of Fame?
Because you always get one dissension, and the mother.
I'll
you always
give you
get
one
person.
Here's one of
that-
the reasons. Do you know how many people vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame?
A lot.
571. Do you know how many of those guys even cover baseball
And
now?
one less now because Lebertard has been stripped of his vote for his shenanigans.
Right, but part of these guys, most of them, don't even report on baseball anymore.
Well, you know
That's
what?
part of the problem. If you're an expert on football, Smoking Jim.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you could vote for the NFL Hall of Fame, that'd be worth it. I'm no expert on it. I know a few players, but I don't know what you know. So you're an expert. Now, if I started in the NFL and then I don't cover it anymore, why would I get a chance to vote on it?
So I
That's what
watch
baseball
boxing
does.
24/7. So I should be an expert in boxing, and I should be allowed to
You
vote on the
should be,
boxing.
yeah.
Once you're given,
If you're a writer and report
once you're
on
given
it,
the
yes.
right to do that, you don't lose it.
I know, and that's the
You
problem
know,
I have.
that-
There should be criteria for keeping me in there. Like, why should a guy still be on there? No disrespect to him, but he started for his first 10 years of his career, he was a baseball writer. Now he's not.
Yeah, they can do other things, cover the Food Channel, whatever,
Yeah.
and still
Have
vote.
a TV
Have-
show or
have nothing to
something.
do with sports or baseball,
Right.
and still have that.
Reality shows, whatever
There's a
else.
lot of things in baseball.
So
that do
life
that way.
isn't fair. If you want to call in and weigh in on it, 412-831-3304.
Just like next year, Condoleezza Rice will be voting on who goes in the top 4
Where?
in the NCAA playoffs. She's one of the 13.
Yeah.
panel
Congratulations.
members, so, yeah.
Who?
So there'll be
Condoleezza Rice.
So there'll be a lot of controversy again.
Is she on your speed dial? You got 2 phones tonight, and they're both calling each other. I noticed that. I noticed one was going off, then the other one went
Well, he
off.
sent that text message about T.Y. Hilton from one phone to the other phone.
Yeah, and then
I was
this.
checking the dates for the authenticity.
Hello.
He typed
Hello?
that message on the left one and sent it over to the right one and said, "Here, I got
Oh,
proof."
he's PED free. I
That's
guarantee
for
it.
sure. 'Cause
Definitely.
See those chicken legs there? And those,
Well, in the hospital, one of them wasn't a chicken leg anymore. That's why he was there.
And it wasn't natural
Alan, this is
either.
a family show. Let's clean it up a little bit.
I was talking a right leg. I don't know what you were insinuating. Had a little fun
Nothing to
there.
do with that, folks.
Got that.
Hey,
Got
Smoking
that.
Jim just got it.
Well, those
He's
things
on tape
happen.
delay.
What didn't we cover here? Pitt basketball. Anybody want to sound off on Pitt basketball? They've been doing great.
Pitt's got another game in the
Pitt is
ACC
it.
tonight. They're playing the Georgia Tech team, and Pitt has never beaten Georgia Tech in
Let's
their
see.
history. So
Let's see
tonight
what
at
they-
9 o'clock, they tip
Yes.
off.
Let's see what they do against Georgia Tech, and they still have yet to play Duke because, like Mike Drakulich was saying last night, Big Mike D. For those of you that doesn't know, he's been gone
Who
for
is
6
he?
months. from Pittsburgh Sports Nation. He was saying that Pitt is going to own the ACC now, and I was like, well, that's a little premature. You know, you still got some
and if
monsters.
for any year for Pitt to have gotten into the ACC, this is probably the best time for them to have gotten into it because it's a down year for Duke basketball. North Carolina is struggling, and these are two
Didn't
teams.
Clemson just beat Duke?
Yeah, Duke's got
Clemson's
4.
in the
You know,
ACC.
here's an interesting thing. Duke's got 4 losses, and in one poll they're ranked higher than Pitt, and Pitt's got 1 loss. You know, but
But
you know,
who's
see,
Duke playing? I guarantee you, Duke played better people than Pitt already up to date.
That's your
I'd have to
homework
look at
assignment
it.
next week.
I'd have to
All
look,
right?
but you know,
no speculation here.
But it is a down year for the
We're not
for the
speculating on
powerhouses. Now I'll tell you the game that'll
Let's
be
find
interesting to watch. Saturday, Pitt will be facing an undefeated Syracuse team, and they're an old friends from the Big East. But that should be a good game.
Hold it, but doesn't Pitt own Syracuse? They used to beat them all the time, like, to use a Penguin phrase, a rented mule.
Boeheim always
Right.
has his teams ready to go.
They're ready to go.
It's at Syracuse, correct? In the Carrier.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It's in the Carrier
It's going to
Dome.
be a tough
There'll be a
game.
lot of orange there, I hear.
So before they got to worry about Duke or North Carolina or any of those guys, Syracuse is one of the top teams in the ACC just coming over.
In the nation,
And
they're
we're-
undefeated.
And that's a big rivalry still carrying over.
Oh yeah, it's just it's one of their old buddies from the Big East.
It's nice to see.
But
Some good basketball.
Boeheim's one of the top college coaches ever to coach in basketball.
No question.
you
No
know.
question. He ranks up there.
And we're starting to wind this down. I think we're at 2:33 on the counter here.
You know what? Just the last thing on the NFL. You know me. I garnered the nickname the Prophet, and
Who
made
do you-
some predictions
That's
last
what-
week in the NFL. I was 1-3, but my winning team is still the team I picked to win it all, Seattle Seahawks, and I still say they're going to go all the way.
Well, I'm going Denver. I've predicted Seattle and Denver there. I'm predicting Denver wins it. In New Jersey, in a blizzard.
So you guys really believe that when it comes in the Brady Manning Bowl, that Manning's going to prevail?
This is
that-
his
that's the
time, yes.
overall-
I don't
That's-
believe that. I don't believe
That's
he
my
will.
opinion.
I think Brady's going to take
Why
it.
can't you have a disagreeing opinion here? I don't understand. I
You
think he's
can.
going to win.
It's just all about, it's
I
a
just said
record.
yes.
It's for the record. For the
Hold it.
record.
I've
For
said
the
it
record,
each
I'd
week.
say the Patriots are going to take down the Broncos this week.
I've said it each
And I
week
already
that the
said it
Broncos are going to
last
win.
week. I'm sticking
I
to
said it last week. I said it this week. I'll say it next week.
Last week the Patriots put up 43 points and Tom Brady didn't throw a single touchdown pass.
And do you see the offensive line that they have compared to the offensive line the Steelers have? Or
How
check
did
out
they
the
lose any
49ers
games?
offensive
How
line.
did they lose any games this year?
That's what you need.
I mean,
to
it's
run.
amazing
You
to
need
me.
those road graders. You
I
need
can't
those big
believe they
guys.
lost a game.
They ran the Steelers out of the stadium.
Yeah, but
sure
how'd they
did.
lose any games? It's the
sure
NFL.
did.
Come on now, it's close. You never know who's going to be hot or cold or what referee's going to make the wrong call. And we're down to a minute to go. Z, what's going on with this weekend? Anything happening? You might go to this event, I hear,
Hey, you never
if
know.
we get some ticks.
All I know is that we had an event in God's country across the street from Smoking Jim Frazier, and I don't know where he was.
Hey, that was a great event. Rue and Chew. And you showed a picture with I forget the guy's name right now. Your cousin there. But he's
Cooking guy.
Yeah. No, he's the brewmaster. Smoking Jim, what's happening this weekend? You're
Hey.
going to basketball in
Hey.
Bethel Park, aren't you?
Join me and Al Levine, the talking machine, at Neil Armstrong School here in Bethel Park to see Jalen Chaffino do his thing. Best fifth grader in the country.
All right, I'll meet you there. It's not 4 miles from my house. Chip, last 5 seconds.
Hey,
Make it
last
quick.
5 seconds. Patriots winning, Seahawks winning, Super Bowl in New York City.
And
Who
I want to
wins?
thank everybody for watching our show. We'll have more predictions next week. Thanks again, and thanks for the likes. 2,231 likes, a new record. Pittsburgh Sports Line. Good night, folks. Have a safe journey.